Ignorance is bliss. Or is it? Well, that's what they tell us. How can it be so if you're stuck in a toxic relationship with 3 of its best friends? Exploitation, prejudice, and limitation. Ignorance's most egotistical friend happens to be exploitation. Last year, I watched a documentary on the exploitation of factory workers, working 22 hours only to make 3 rupees. The window to my ignorance had been opened, and I looked out into it. I realized that not everyone worked a 9-to-5 shift in fair, humane conditions. However, I abruptly shut that window when I waltzed into the nearest high street store, put on that £5 top, felt like Beyonce in that moment, when I looked more like Honey G. If you've watched X Factor, you know this is not a compliment whatsoever. And that's when I realized that my ignorance had blinded me. My selfishness and greed had stopped me from caring about the human rights of others. And that's when I asked myself, can my ignorance truly be bliss? The second friend, the most malicious friend, prejudice. A lot of the time we hear things like, Muslims are terrorists and terrorists are Muslims. But let me tell you something. There are 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. And if this were to be true, surely we'd be, I don't know, dead by now? Well, that's what common sense would tell you. But people believe these stigmas, these misconceptions, and what do? They internalize fear and they internalize hatred. And they never speak out against the stereotypes they face. And that's when I begin to ask myself, can I stay suspended in this bubble of no knowledge? The last friend, limitation. Limitation comes because you do not branch out. You don't seize opportunities. You don't educate yourself. Education is knowledge. And what is knowledge? Knowledge to me is power. It's like a seed. If you give a farmer a seed, he will grow crops. But if you give a student books, they will learn, they will push themselves, they will become better, they will grow. That's why I think it's like a tiny drop of water. The more water you have, the mightier your ocean. So step out of your ignorance. Educate yourself. Don't believe in the prejudices and limitations that stop you in this century. Thank you.